Hey guys, how's it going? It's Thursday night, just past 10 p.m. And as you can see, I put the microphone out from under the shirt. Last night when I had it on my shoulder and I talked to my shoulder, it was very obvious that if I just put it somewhere in a better location, it works better. So even though this is slightly annoying and I can feel it on the edge of my face, it does sound better. So I'm going to have the microphone here for now until I think of something better or I shave my face. Not going to do that. Okay, so the other night I texted my buddy Cliff and I asked him for feedback on these. I don't know if you would call this a practice session. This is like a trying to make something session where I happen to be talking at the same time. And he strongly suggested coming up with a topic. And I'm really struggling with thinking of what I would want to talk about. He was like, don't make it political, don't make it economical, stuff and stuff. and um, so, trying to keep that in mind, I thought, okay, well, when I go back and I look through stuff I've written about in the past, I have written about being a yo-yoer, and I have written about the community aspect of yo-yoing and my thoughts on it. And I thought, okay, well, if I have to pick a topic, I could talk about being a yo-yoer and I could talk about the community aspect of it. Hey, look at me repeating myself. And I don't know what else to talk about tonight. I mean, I could talk about what I talked about yesterday. I'm going to dip into that just a teeny bit because I worked on it all day. I've been improving the process of the Pokemon card model system. If you don't know what I mean when I say models, um, I've been training neural networks to help me get Pokemon cards processed and up into my eBay store. So, like, one of the models automatically detects the corners of cards for processing reasons, which, if you watch the other videos, you'll understand a little bit. And the second model is attempting to assess the card condition from near mint to played to damaged. And that's kind of the last automatable step in my process, aside from photographing the cards. So most of today has been spent training models, testing them against all of the pictures I have, seeing how well they do. I had one that did like 5% better than the rest. And so that became the new parent. And it's been stuck at 71% for most of the day. So I've been upgrading the training system since then. And it's currently running on my computer, which is why I'm like, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention because I can see it. It's doing work right now. Like, it's doing stuff. Even though I did say I want to talk about being a yo-yoer and being in the yo-yo community, or the community that is yo-yoing. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't have ideas. These videos are an excuse to practice and to get back in front of the camera and talk more, which is something I also told Cliff. I need to get comfortable talking to you guys again, and that's probably weird to hear considering all the videos, thousands of videos I made over the years. But when you take a several year break, you kind of lose the comfort in doing it, and you gotta re earn that comfort. So, as far as being a yo-yoer goes, what I mean by that particular topic is I don't know if this is normal for other hobbies, but in this hobby, it becomes your identity, or it became my identity. I don't know if this is normal for other people who play with yo-yos. If you think of yourself as I'm a yo-yoer, that was always the label that I assigned myself over the years. I am a yo-yoer, kind of like some would say I am a skateboarder or I am a violinist. I've heard people call themselves yo-yoists, like Paul Harness's bio on Instagram back in the day was yo-yoist, and I think his actual screen name is yo-yoist. And ist just doesn't feel right to me, but if that's what you want to call yourself, cool. Er is what feels right to me because that's just what people called themselves, like thrower, yo-yoer. Anyhow, what am I can't even say what am I getting at here. I don't know what I'm getting at here. I'm just talking off the top of my head. For most of my life, from 2003, when I was 13 years old, when I first picked up a yo-yo and started taking it seriously and not just going from the childlike wanting to walk the dog, do a forward pass around the world, to, oh, there's actually depth to this, and I can go to competitions and I can get good at this, and I can get respect for this, or at least recognition from people who understand it. It became a big piece of who I was. I would spend and do spend a lot of time trying to get good at these tricks. And in the past, I would try to come up with freestyles so that I could go to a contest and, like, you'd want to win. Well, I would want to win. I would want to do a good enough job where I could get up on stage and people would cheer and there would be a video and I could upload it and people would go, wow, that was a great performance, or it's obvious that you worked really hard on that, or I don't know. So this is hard. Not the trick. The trick is hard, but like trying to figure out where I'm going with this is difficult. I got a lot of self-worth out of this hobby. I got a lot of social validation out of this hobby. I felt like I was a part of a community, a part of a group. I had my tribe. It was us versus them being the people who just didn't understand that yo-yoing is a way of life. They just don't get us, man. I don't know. I gotta stop saying that. I've already said it more than once. But yeah, I I have early memories of seeing the back of a Dunkin' Yo-Yo package, and it said something about send in your tape, and if we think it's good, we might sponsor you. And something about that made me think, huh, there's more to this than just being a toy. You can, well, like that immediately made me feel like I could get some kind of validation from it. Like I, as a 13-year-old, I wasn't thinking that. I was feeling it. I was feeling like something significant could come from it. Sorry about touching the mic. It's like making my face feel weird. And so, after seeing a yo-yoer at a summer camp and thinking that looks cool, I would love to do that. I've already played with yo-yos a lot. Like I always say that I started yo-yoing in 2003 when I was 13, but that's not true. I started playing with yo-yos before I was 10. I remember having pro-yos, like I don't even know what they were. They were basically those looping pro-yos, and I remember using one as a hockey puck, and I remember being able to do like double around the worlds and thinking I was cool, and then you would set it down and forget about it for a while. And then I saw a yo-yoer at the summer camp I was going to, and realizing, oh, there's a lot more to this. This, like, I've been at the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, and 90% of this hobby has still been hidden from me under the deep blue, crystal clear Arctic waters. And I needed to dive in and figure it out, understand it. And then I remember watching the Smothers Brothers on a VHS that someone from our church had recorded on, I don't know, I guess their VHS recorder. And realizing not only could you play with a toy and earn money from it and get societal validation from it, but like hundreds, if not thousands, of people in a stadium would think it was awesome enough to cheer for you and to show up and watch you and think it was great, even if you were just being silly with it. So there was a lot of that in the back of my head, I think, when I was at that summer camp and saw a yo-yoer just fiddling around waiting to pick up one of their grandchildren. And as soon as I met them, I started going to these bi-weekly yo-yo club slash class meetups at their church or the school where they were working. I don't know exactly what they did there. And I went with a buddy of mine at the time, and we both learned how to yo-yo together. And we went to a couple of contests, like the 2004 National Yo-Yo Contest. And it became very apparent that not only all that stuff that I've been thinking about and trying to talk about is true, but like you can compete and you can get sponsored and you can go around the world. Haha, fun. You can be sent around the planet to demonstrate this amazing hobby that some of us have picked up. This cat's cradle puzzle of a thing to do. I remember watching Augie Fash win that year. I remember meeting Steve Brown and Dr. Popular and not being able to talk to them, like trying to say words because I'd seen them in videos and just being so starstruck that they didn't come out right. I remember afterwards, Augie Fash helped teach me how to do the iron whip. So it's his fault I know how to do that. And then I started going on to yoyoing.com/forum, if you know what I mean, or slash news, I guess. And I didn't know what to call myself, so I'm looking around my room trying to think of a screen name because everything I could think of, and I don't even remember what the alternates were at this point, it's so long ago. The first thing I saw was a kite. We had recently gone to Cannon Beach in Oregon, and my parents had bought me a stunt kite. And so I just look over and I see a kite and I go, well, let's try that. Type in KITE and screen name's available, surprisingly. So my yo-yo pseudonym suddenly is Kite. And a lot of old school yo-yoers that were around back then still call me Kite if I get over my social anxiety and show up in Discord or in person, I guess. And suddenly I became aware that not only could you have a job with yo-yos, that you could earn a living just being good at a particular skill, but there's a community, a worldwide underground community. And I had just gotten on the internet. The internet was pretty new to most people at that point. Like most people didn't use the internet in 2004. Like it was the nerds that were using it and whoever had happened to get an AOL CD in the mail. And so we live out in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. I rode the bus to school and I didn't walk home. I didn't have any friends that lived nearby. It's like a lot of old people that live nearby. So I didn't have people to spend time with in the afternoons. And when I was done with school and I got home, it was just, you're alone. You don't have anyone to talk to. And suddenly I had this community that I could go and I could chit chat with. And like, there's a lot of that I regret. But I mean, who doesn't regret how they talked when they were 14? I've gone back on the Internet Archive and I've tried to find Kite in yo-yoing.com/news. And a lot of the stuff I said was really stupid and really cringeworthy. But I always had this feeling that like I could go anywhere on earth, and if I needed a place to stay, a couch to crash on, some yo-yoer somewhere would be willing to let you crash on their couch, and you could hang out and do tricks together. This was before you could like make videos together and post them. Like there was no Instagram. YouTube was barely getting started. Like I don't even think it was around until 2006 or 2007. I think my first YouTube account that I still have, the it's Mike WM90. I think it's probably my oldest public account, has some 2005 National Yo-Yo Contest freestyles on it. Like there wasn't a good way to distribute content. If you didn't have a friend at the Glass Lab or Sector Y, or just somebody who understood how to set up a server and host a website and was willing to not stream your video, but upload your video so that if people wanted to, they could download it. Like, you weren't going to be known by anyone. Around that time, I got into learning how to do HTML, like primitive website building. And I started making my own website, and I would attempt to distribute videos on it. And I would take the links to those videos and share it on yo-yoing.com. And if you did a good job, you would get a lot of responses and upvotes. Like it was almost like Reddit in a way. And if you did a bad job, one person would go, "This video is a waste of time," and no one would check out your video because it would take a half hour to an hour to download the video before you could even watch it. Like it's not like streaming where you just hit play, it buffers for a second and you can watch. You literally had to wait a half hour to an hour before you could even see what was going on. Like I don't know, like you had to earn your place in the community. You couldn't just post a trick, go viral, and you meant something. And maybe that's a piece of why I don't feel comfortable in social media anymore, because I'm looking through my lens of history and missing what it felt like to earn your place. Or I don't know if that's true, but it comes to mind. So yeah, I've always felt this weird, there's a little thing buzzing around me. I've always felt this feeling of this is my tribe. And a lot of that is gone these days. And I don't really know what to do with that because it's such a formative piece of who I am. I literally, for more than 23 years, have said, I am a yo-yoer. I have organized yo-yo contests, more than one, state level competitions, city level competitions. I've done things on the internet. I've been sponsored. I've made my own yo-yos. I've written a book on how to yo-yo. I've made tutorial videos on how to yo-yo. I've taught at least 100,000 people how to do some of the basics, even though I deleted all the accounts that was on. Like, it was cemented as who I was. And then something happened with me and I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to feel like I had to have that label anymore. And also, I'd start to question, like, is this just something I'm doing because the 13-year-old me picked this for me? And I've had a struggle with that for a long time. Like, am I just doing this because the child me did it, wanted to do it, saw all of these indicators of validation in it and chased it? Or is this like destiny and all of those childhood things, like finding the yo-yo in the toy box at the Christian school before the year 2000, and it was full of knots, so they let me take it home. And then my dad helped me fix it, and then I learned some of the basics of yo-yoing. And like, is that destiny? Because I don't believe in that, or or is it just like there's these things along the way that became more important over time because of the fact that it was getting reinforced more and more as time went by. Like you happen to play with a toy before you're 10, and then after you're 10, when you're 13 and you're looking to be accepted by people, you see that that toy that you used to not really think anything about, but you thought it was fun or interesting, or you felt, I don't know, like when you learn a skill, you feel, I have felt really good about it. Like when you put an effort to do something and you finally do it, it's a big serotonin hit. A lot of endorphins come out of that. And so maybe it's all just tied together by that early chemistry. I don't know. I don't even know if I should attempt to read into it. But I do know lately that I've just gone hard into being a dad and hard into I need to earn a certain amount of money every month so I can pay the minimal bills that I do have. And I also, like, as the pandemic hit, I had just gotten through the divorce, through a lot of drama that came after that that had to do with it. And there was like this fear of anything I post could get me in trouble, even though nobody gave a crap what I was posting. And then the pandemic hit and you're isolated and you start dealing with that. And then I joined TikTok and took it seriously and started posting like 6 times a day. And then I assume I burned myself out. And then also some of those videos went viral, and suddenly you have this lens of the general public on you, and it's like it's not just attention, it's like a magnifying glass and I'm the ant. So I don't know. The reason I'm doing this now and I am talking a lot and I'm focusing on one trick and I'm not trying to make it interesting, I'm not trying to edit it, is I want the audience to self-select. Like if you're sticking around for this, you're probably a yo-yoer. You probably either know who I am or you just think that this stuff's interesting or you just want to hear someone talk while you're like, I don't know, washing dishes. And my hope is that I'll get people that are going to bring back the vibe of those early yo-yoing.com/news days where, like I said, it feels like you could just crash on somebody's couch. You had nothing in common. You were a lawyer, you were a machinist, you were a physicist, you were just some random pothead or like some delinquent, or in the case of my buddies in Ditch Down, you were a tattoo enthusiast. And all of these people could just get together and vibe and have a great time because they all shared this hobby. They were all yo-yoers. And I miss that a lot. And that's a piece of why I'm getting back into doing this. Like I can't even land this stupid trick idea, and I've done 3 nights in a row now, and I haven't been able to get myself to get in front of a camera for almost a year. I don't even know what I want to do with this trick and why I'm still chasing it. But I like the idea of having people that get this feeling to chit chat with. I'm gonna do my regular checking the camera and see if it's recording thing. So one sec. All right. Well, apparently having a topic is a great idea because we're at 24 minutes. Normally, when I go to check, it's at 15 minutes. So let's land the mount one more time and then call it a night. I might need to adjust my string tension. Nope, that doesn't count because it's double wrapped. Let's keep going. Just got to land a decent version of that mount once. No, double wrapped again. You can tell it's double wrapped because as soon as I do that little flip over my hand, it gets stuck, and then it does a backspin bind. And for all I know, the ultimate version of this trick will use that double wrap somehow. But I'm chasing breadcrumbs, and just one of them is landing this just right because it feels like there's more possibilities from this point. Like, I keep on doing this, like it makes a heart almost, and you can kind of like flip around it, and I don't know, like it feels like there's more possibilities from there than it is where it's double twisted and screwed up. So I'll just keep working on it, and I hope that you guys keep on checking in, and I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching. It's about 10 of you that come by on a regular basis, and if you have any questions or comments, leave it below. I'd like coming up with things to talk about is apparently difficult for me, so if you have stuff that you would like me to talk about, leave it down below. Like, you could ask about anything I've talked about, you could ask about random things, you could just say like, what's your favorite movie? I don't care, whatever's on your mind. So if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you when I do the next one, probably tomorrow night, because I kind of like doing this before I go to bed. Feels good.